How's it going, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of the Respect and Pray Show. I am your host, Miguel Mike Medina, Triple M. In this episode, I have someone who has a lot of years of experience directing not just movies, commercials, music videos, but also live television as well. And boy, oh boy, I'm a filmmaker myself. He's an award winning filmmaker just like me, but I'm always intrigued to get to know other filmmakers and content creators, especially if they have more knowledge, more experience than me. So I always want to make sure I learn from them and get to know more about them. And I am so glad to have this person for this episode of the Respect and Praise Show. And check out the interview. This is a person that he has done so many projects, worked on a variety of things. So hope you guys enjoy this interview. It's a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to present to you Mr. Trey Morrow. Trey, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. Before we get into everything that you're doing right now, what I found impressive was that you first started studying theater when you were in college, University of South Carolina. Is that right?
USC Upstate in Spartanburg. Yeah. I started with theater when I was in elementary school, um, and then really became passionate about that in high school. And originally, that's what I went to college for, but ended up going a different direction, obviously.
What was it about theater that drew you to that?
Uh, well, I've always, you know, been drawn toward creative type of outlets. Um, I've always loved music. I've always loved movies. I remember, being a little kid and watching Elvis movies at my grandparents' house that they would put on, and things like that. And I remember in elementary school, only the fourth and fifth graders were able to be in drama or put on a musical or whatever. And I remember seeing it in like kindergarten or first grade, and I was like, man, I can't wait to do that. I can't wait till I'm in fourth or fifth grade so that I can do that too. And then that time came, and yeah, I fell in love with it.
What was your favorite Elvis movie?
Favorite Elvis movie? It's been a long time since I watched those, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Like Viva Las Vegas, Jailhouse Rock, those were classics.
Yeah, I would have to say the same. Viva Las Vegas is a classic, and plus, since I went to Vegas a few years back, um, it was interesting to see how it was back in the '60s, how Vegas looked. But yeah, I would have to say that one is my favorite as well. So, you're an award-winning filmmaker, just like myself. So we got that in common. As a filmmaker, who was who are some of the people that influence you in your filmmaking, or that I will say that you try to emulate, but they inspire you to say, "I want to get my hands on that."
A friend of mine, Jeremy Williams, who works at ESPN, really inspired me a lot. When I was in college, I was in this band, and we did a music video. And the director of the music video, I found out actually went to the same high school as me, just before me. And when we were on set of the music video, watching him do his thing and just seeing like what goes on behind the scenes to create something like that, it really got my attention. And later down the road, I hit Jeremy up and was like, hey, like what kind of laptop should I get? What kind of software should I get? And started editing. And then another colleague and friend of mine, Aaron Pate, uh, he worked in the advanced digital media lab at USC Upstate. And I didn't even find out that lab existed until my friend Andy Young told me about it. And Andy worked in the media lab as well. And yeah, that's kind of Aaron taught me, you know, 90% of what I know probably, just from being in that lab, and doing music videos and things like that. So I'd say early on, yeah, I was really inspired to get into film and video because of Jeremy. Um, and also further back, like my mom never, made movies or anything like that, but she just always had the camera out, photography and, videography, home videos, all those things. And I used to love grabbing the camera from her and, like narrating the family get-togethers and things like that. Going way, if you really want to go way back. So yeah, I've drawn inspiration from a lot of different places.
So you've been a filmmaker for over 10 years. The same thing with live TV. Um, I have two questions, but I'll ask the first one. What's the most challenging project you've ever directed by far?
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. That's
You could throw more than one.
probably the docu series I did. The guy Aaron that I mentioned earlier, he and I have, you know, really worked on a lot of stuff together over the years. Um, and we took on a project that we came up with called Local Takes, which was a docu series about artists in our hometown of Spartanburg. Because Spartanburg's not, not everybody knows of Spartanburg. It's a smaller city, and we felt that artists were often overlooked. There's such incredible talent here. And yeah, that's something we really wanted to take on. And the process was just, painstaking because we really felt this huge obligation to these artists to tell their stories, in a way that wasn't, you know, gimmicky or clickbait or, things like that. We really, wanted to represent these artists well. And we made every decision together, directing wise, editing wise. We sat in editing, and I mean, we would just come up with these like graphs on how we wanted the story, to go, and we'd erase it and mark it out. And I mean, everything was just, we actually typed up every word that each artist said so that we could look at it on paper and kind of like rearrange it in a way, because most of films were like 5 to 8 minutes a piece. And we're like, how do we represent everything that this person needs to say but squeeze it into this little chunk, and yeah, I mean, we really took that so seriously. And yeah, so I'd say that's probably one of the hardest, but one of the most rewarding for sure as well.
Editing is fun, but it's time consuming. So no matter how short or how long a project is, it's a lot of work that goes behind it. And that leads me to a follow question. A person like yourself that has directed, edited music videos, I can only imagine how challenging it is to edit a music video because everything is like so like this. So you have to make sure you get the right pieces at the right time. And with film is a little different, but with music videos is I feel like it's more challenging from an editing standpoint. Would you agree?
um yeah, I mean, every project has its own challenges. I would say music videos come a little more naturally to me because I have a background in music. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. Like, it's hard to, I had a professor. I only took two film classes in college because I didn't realize this is what I wanted to do until way later in my college career. But Bob Morrell, he said something to me that I've always kind of pondered. And he I don't think he was saying it as a the gospel, but just kind of to make a point. He said, whatever your best shot is when you do a project, whatever your best shot is, throw it out. And I was like, why would you do that? But the reason he said that is because if you're just so in love with the shot, um, you might try to force it in somewhere where it doesn't fit, and it doesn't fit the overall project. So, with music videos and with shorter projects in general, which, as you know, in the age of social media and, short attention spans, videos are getting more cuts, more compact, shorter. But yeah, it is hard to condense something down when you're truly trying to make art. You know what I mean? It's hard to choose. It's hard to choose what shot to make it in sometimes. You have to give things up and sacrifice things for the overall betterment of the project. And I would say that was even harder with the docu series because with a music video, I don't mean to say it's just a shot, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just a shot of a music video. The song and the message is going to remain the same, but with and obviously you do tell a story with the images in a music video, but with the docu series, it's like, okay, these people said things on camera. We have to decide which of them is most important, which ones are cohesive together and all this. So yeah, like I said, I mean, they all just present different challenges.
Transitioning to the live TV, you've worked on and directed several shows for ESPN, ESPN2, ACC Network, USA Network. The list goes on and on. How is it like to work for ACC Network? Because right now, like, let's say in college, right now, college sports, they're killing it right now, the ACC, especially in this NCAA tournament. How's the culture like working for ACC Network?
Well, I don't work directly for any of those networks. I'm a freelancer, and the industry in the last several years has changed quite a bit. And that change was beginning right as I got into the industry. So now a lot of the universities themselves are putting on the broadcasts from their own control rooms. That was kind of the model that ESPN started um, with the SEC network. But before that, I got the unique opportunity at USC Upstate when I was a student there that ESPN was kind of using smaller mid-major schools like USC Upstate. We were one of the first to kind of like test this model out of, hey, the schools could put on their own broadcasts, and we did that for a year or two, and then they launched SEC Network. So I don't work directly for any of those networks. I'm a freelancer, and often it's a, a school or a company that will hire me to direct these broadcasts. And often um, the different networks, the broadcast is being put on from the same control room. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I work at Clemson a lot, and I've directed an ESPN broadcast in that control room, an ACC network broadcast in that control room, and so on. Uh, yeah, so that's kind of how it goes right now.
Speaking of Clemson, I had to bring this up because you saw that I comment the other day. I saw that you were working on the Florida State Clemson weekend series, and honestly, Trey, by far this season, that's the best series that I've seen so far in college baseball. We're talking about 3 games, and all 3 games, Clemson was trailing, and then they came back to win all 3 games. That series was bananas, especially games 2 and 3 of that series, which Clemson, they were trailing more than 5 runs. So yeah, and then but But since I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, as you can see,
I knew it was
we
going
lost
there.
not we, but they lost 2 out of 3. I can't say we because I'm not playing, but they lost 2 out of 3. So, but in a way, it was long overdue because Clemson hasn't beaten a regular season series against Miami since 2012. So it's been 12 years that they've lost a series against Miami. So I saw it coming. It was a long overdue, but yeah, Miami's offense didn't show up. Clemson had their way. I mean, they're a top 5 team right now in the rankings. So, but that series, man, Florida State and Clemson, that was crazy. That was a wild weekend. I that was a fun weekend to watch. So how
Yeah.
was that, for you to work for to win as that, like how was that like?
Well, yeah, I mean the baseball season is still pretty fresh, I think I think that might have I think that might have been the first baseball series I've worked this season, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I think so. So it was definitely wild. I mean, but you know how baseball is. Like I love the sport of baseball, but it can get brutal at times, like when games just drag and drag on, and especially those games where there's 1,000 different pitching changes and all that. But man, there's nothing like being able to direct a great game. That goes with any sport, but I really enjoy baseball and softball. Um, so yeah, I mean, to be a part of that was great. The crew at Clemson, I'm a freelancer, but a lot of the people there, I work with people there that are full time and people there that are students. And I mean, they have such an amazing crew. The students there, and there's some people who are like newly graduated from Clemson as well. I mean, Clemson just does a great job of training those kids up, and yeah, I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be a great broadcast unless everybody was doing a good job. So everybody there, it's just an honor to work with those folks. They really do a great job, and it was a lot of fun that game. Everybody was locked in. Everybody was doing a great job. It was just when you can get on a crew like that, uh, that trusts you and you trust them. I mean, yeah, you can put on some great shows that way.
Favorite breakfast meal?
Favorite breakfast? Oh man, that's tough. Um, I hmm. I mean, I love waffles. I love pancakes. I love breakfast burritos. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I'm vegan, so I love just egg. I love tofu scramble, those types of things. It's all really good.
Your top 3 favorite travel destinations that you want to go to but you haven't been to yet?
That I haven't been to yet. I haven't been to Europe at all. So I would love to go to Europe and just explore over there. Um, I've never been to California somehow. I don't know how I'm 34 and I've never been to California, but that's how it is. Um, yeah, I don't know. I try not to think too much about it because I'm not in a position to be able to travel a whole lot right now. But you know, places I have been, I love the Pacific Northwest. I've been there and I absolutely love it there.
Name a skill set that you wish you had. That name a skill set that you wish you had but you don't have it.
Hmm. Um, Probably the ability to play the guitar because I am a musician. I have a background in music, but yeah, I feel like if I just wanted to write a song, it'd be easier to for everything to fall into place if I knew guitar.
Name a person, dead or alive, that you would like to have dinner with. and have a conversation.
Hmm. Um, I don't know. That's a tough one, man. Maybe like one of the remaining living Beatles, or I love the band Deftones. Maybe hang out with them. That'd be really cool.
Which sporting event that you haven't worked on but you would like to work on? It could be from any sport. And I'm talking about big events, the main one. I'm talking about championship events.
I'd love to direct a March Madness game. I've never done that. I've directed like some conference championship games and things like that, but I think doing a March Madness game would be really awesome.
Speaking of March Madness, that brings me my bonus question of this game. If there were ever two teams in the national championship that you wish that would be Trey's dream matchup in a title game, which one would it be?
I don't know, man. It's interesting having a career in sports because you know you start uh you start kind of getting attached to some of these teams that you cover frequently. And maybe
Just
that's
give me
not
two, brother. Just give me two. There's no right or wrong answer. Just give me two.
and maybe that's not who you grew up pulling for or whatever, but I don't know. Any sport or basketball?
I mean, I asked March Madness, but um, we could go to baseball if you like. Um, two teams in the World Series that you would like to see in the
We can
future.
we can stick with March Madness. I mean, you know, my alma mater is USC Upstate. They when I was there, I used to be the director of video there, and they came really close to getting to the dance. They played their. It was back when they were in the A Sun, and they played the championship game against North Florida, and it was the heartbreaker, and they didn't get to go. But they had some really good teams. Torrey Craig, who plays for the Bulls right now, he was at USC Upstate during that time when they were like really good, and Ty Green, he was really good. But yeah, so I mean, I went to USC Upstate, so it'd be hard not to say them. Um, and the school I've worked with the most as a freelancer is Clemson, so I would say yeah, those two schools maybe.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. So I got two more final questions for this interview. The next one is what advice would you have for anyone who is interested in getting into this business, especially from a directing standpoint? What would your advice be?
TV or film?
Either or.
Um, well, it's kind of a little bit different advice for both, I think. For TV, I would say just show up, man. I mean, it's funny because I'll post something about work on social media or something like that, and I used to get these messages in my inbox, from people that I knew outside of work that would say, "Oh man, I would love to have a job doing that. What can you do to get me on?" And I would tell them like, "Hey, like do this, do that," and they don't show up. So there in life in general, I think a lot of people like want things that they are not willing to work for. You know what I mean? So I would just say show up, like do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be. You know, while remaining ethical, of course. But um, for me with TV, I started out as a camera operator, and I knew that eventually I wanted to direct. So I would take the smallest gigs. I would take gigs that were not ideal, and uh, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I've put in my grind, and I just took it seriously. I took every game seriously. Um, so yeah, if you want to get into TV, Uh, yeah, networking's important as well. With with filmmaking, I would say use what you have. I mean, it's so easy to put off a project because maybe you don't have access to the perfect camera you want, or this script is your baby and you don't want to do it until everything's exactly right. But you know what? I see films all the time that are like incredible content, but maybe the color grading's off and maybe the audio's not the greatest or whatever. But you know what? The film's out there and people are watching it. So, what's better, to put it out when it's not perfect, or to just, it just dies inside your mind somewhere. So I would say use what you have and make your idea come to life.
Last but not least, where can we follow you and your work?
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Trey Morrow, and I have an Instagram at Video Trey, Trey. And you can check out my website. That's where my portfolio is, treymorrow.com.
Trey, thank you so much for taking time to do this interview with me. Much respect to everything that you're doing, man. You have an unblemished resume, and I'll be continuing to follow what you're doing and keep it up, man. There's nothing more than waking up doing what you love, and also, just elevate, continue to elevate and climb higher. So, thank you, for doing this interview with me, and best of luck on everything that you're doing and that you're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah, I really appreciate you reaching out and having me on. It was fun. Thanks.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy that interview with Trey Morrow. Now, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? All right? And you guys know my motto: have mutual respect, mutual love, and mutual admiration. So, I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Respect and Pray Show. Take care, everyone.